Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Milo Eyes. I'm Gary, and today I have Edwin. And then I thought a lot of people say our voice sounds quite similar. I'm not sure how similar it is, but I thought to invite Edwin to share. It's basically a very impromptu discussion, and I didn't really come up with any very detailed questionnaires like I did for some particular debate or even interviews. So I thought to ask Edwin to talk about happiness. Is a very interesting topic because I was working on it last year on my dissertation, inspired by Alan de Botton, Architecture of Happiness. And I thought to invite some young designers, students especially. I think I'm sort of like outdated, even though I was like freshly graduated from part one, and I thought Edwin is the right person in a way, but of course, later on we can invite different kind of individuals to talk about different kind of things. And then I hope that today's discussion we will try to stay away from architecture, looking architecture from a non-architectural perspective, because we have been dwelling into architecture for too long. I believe Edwin a few days ago, also a few weeks ago, or even last week, conducted a discussion with Jowin, and I thought that's very interesting topic, to invite different kind of perspective on looking at art and architecture. There's a certain distinction between these two, because often architecture been said that architecture is art, but art is not architecture. Why should we separate that? So without further ado, hi Edwin, how are you? Happy New Year.
Hi Gary, Happy New Year. I'm
It's
good,
it,
very good.
it's quite guilty to ask you to do a podcast on the second day of Chinese New Year.
No, it's okay, it's okay. I'm also very free. Yeah, everything here is like not going as smooth also. MCO
Yeah,
and all.
yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
still stuck at home, so why not?
Yeah. So I think this year the Chinese New Year, the atmosphere and also the aura or the environment is so different, isn't it? And it's
Hmm.
and I'm not sure how does that change for you, the impact of it.
Impact. Well, obviously there's going to be like some disappointment that you cannot take a day off, like a few days off going to Penang, and because every year I go back to Penang for Chinese New Year, and
Right.
the only thing that I look forward to is like just getting away from stuff and then makan makan.
Right.
So
So
it's
your
like all
hometown
that.
so your
Yeah,
hometown from Penang.
yeah. My dad's hometown is at Penang, so we usually always follow my dad to go back to Penang.
Mm.
We used to always visit our grandmother
Ah.
long time ago, but we still just continue that tradition to always go back to Penang every year to visit some of our cousins who also goes back. So like yeah, we always go back to Penang, but then this year is like the first time that we actually didn't do anything for Chinese New Year. I didn't even visit anyone.
Mm. Mm.
Uh, it's it's a bit disappointing in that sense, but also at the same time, it's actually I'm still quite okay with it because like there's still a little advantage in not visiting people is that you can actually rest at home.
Mm. Mm.
So
Mm.
I took the time just to rest and just like because my brother and my sister came back so we just like just spend the time together uh in a small as a small gathering lah, and then yeah, I mostly enjoyed my time. I didn't even touch my assignments. I didn't
Mm.
do anything,
But
which
but
I'm
but do you
supposed to.
right. But do you enjoy this kind of work from home thing where the home and work is barely separated? Because now look at it from your desk, it's like you you allows the life the or maybe you had your dinner or lunch at your working desk, on your working desk, or and then somehow this it's very interesting that the role is somehow dwells together, emerge together. There is no such thing saying that this that's only for work kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, there's a lot of things that's going on my table. If you actually can see, right, this is not my workstation. This is my dumping station. So I just put everything there while I actually work on this table, like on my main table with my computer in front. So like there's like my book over here, and I have like my iPad at the side here. Then I also have like my Wacom over here. So like everything's not messy lah on my table right now. So it's like I work very messy. I'm not very clean, like you can say. So I have a lot of things going on around because I always have a lot of things going on in my head. So like I need to
Mm.
like run a lot of things at the same time. If not, I get too bored. Like if I do one thing all the way, very bored. But if you ask me if it's better or not, I think it's like I think there's pros and cons, but I feel I prefer to work like practical kind of stuff
Oh, with
because
studio, is
when
it?
for studio, not for early studio, but for anything else, like if a lot of my jobs and a lot of things that I do well is that actually when I'm outside there, actually using my physical energy to do something rather
Mm,
than just stay at home and look at the computer and do. Because when I do that, right, it's really like very hard to maintain the discipline.
mm.
Mm.
But
Especially for
is
sorry.
this the same thing for the last 1 year because of COVID, or before that
Yeah,
you have
yeah.
been doing this in the UCSI studio as well?
No, this is like the after the MCO first started, right? Then
Oh,
this is what we did since then.
right.
And it was
So
very hard to maintain that motivation to keep on going. And especially at time before this, I don't have my own room to do my work, right? So I have to do outside. Where the living room where everybody is at, right? And it's very distracting actually, and it's very hard for me to keep my focus in the assignments and everything.
mm, 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 mm. So it's a new thing that you have to adapt because of COVID.
A bit of a new thing, but I
Right,
can
right.
say like half because like back back in UCSI also, I don't know if I can mention this or not, but then they don't even give us 24 hours to do, so we have to do our work at home. So it's like
Well, I
a
mean,
little,
it happens to the other university also.
yeah.
So let's not get guilty about it.
Yeah. I guess the only bummer about this MCO is the lack of conversation. Like when everyone
Right.
starts
So you
home, like
can't bump into your friends.
yeah, you can't bump into your friends, you can't bump into the lecturers, you can't bump into anyone that actually you can talk to, especially when you need to generate ideas for design, right?
Yeah.
Then it's
Yeah.
very when you're doing it alone, right? It's very hard to progress. Yeah, that kind of thing. But I think that's why we have the Discord as well. So it's like
Oh,
we have
that's
different
right.
alternatives that we can slowly adapt to. It didn't happen instantly, but it take a while to like people to adapt to different things. So
Right.
like whatever the situation gonna throw to us also, right? It's still gonna be something that we have to adapt to. Lor.
Right. So are you planning to do more? Like Joeyn's one, I believe is the first time you host and also sort of moderated, isn't it? But
Right,
then,
right.
in the end, I mean, following up with that, are you going to do more, or it
I
depends?
actually
Or it
don't.
depends.
I actually don't know because I only did that to help my lecturer. Like my lecturer,
Ah,
yeah, my lecturer needed to have some help. Like she asked me first, like if I wanted to help her students to actually like show them how I did my renderings for my current project. And I was like, okay, no
oh,
problem lah. But I was thinking like, oh, if this is an expression that they're going to talk about, right? Then I thought, why not bring someone in from a
mm,
higher level. So
mm.
like I was thinking of Edmund or Joey, but Edmund already did the talk like with Arif that day. So I
He's
thought,
too
okay, never
famous,
mind lah.
that guy.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, Edmund already done before, so then I don't want to invite Edmund again, like, because like he'll be just doing the same thing again. I think it's not so exciting, lah. So like, okay, lah. Then I asked Joey instead, and Joey was okay with it. Then okay,
Yeah,
then
yeah,
I told, and then after that, it was very impromptu because everything was done in like 1 or 2 days before. I mean, like 1 week, lah, 1 week before the
yeah.
thing
The
happened.
poster is new as well.
Yeah, even the poster I didn't do a lecture done it, so like, okay, no problem, lah. I don't have to do much. But the whole live talk and everything is like very spontaneous. But I only did that whole moderation for Joey was actually very impromptu and for the students only lah. I don't see myself going to do more talks because that one was under Sabe, like my school lah,
Right, right.
and I don't have my own platform to start anything else. And I don't have any platform for now because we also have our own student society lah in my school, but I'm not really into that right now. So like I don't know. I just maybe have to see lor.
Because I noticed you have been doing some game streaming, so are you planning to like create a YouTube platform for all
Oh,
this?
I'm going to be creating a Twitch platform for that.
Oh, okay.
Not sure about YouTube but I did had a plan to actually I mean like way before the Twitch thing happened, right? I actually had a plan to start on YouTube, but then I was like thinking, why not just do Twitch lah? Because I'm not targeting to be like a what
YouTuber.
one thing is a YouTuber, but the requirement of being a YouTuber or Facebooker that you need to have a lot of like and like all these things are like very very big platform of fans
Well,
and stuff like that.
I think if that's your target, then okay lah. I mean, for people who actually wanted to operate it like as a
Mm,
business kind of thing, but
yeah,
or else you can just go on live and then you just have some chat with your friend and then
yeah.
do some stupid shit.
But that's not my objective. So that's why I'm like, yeah, now I just do Twitch or Twitch and be like a small platform and like anyone want to come follow, you come follow. And you
Right,
guys want to
right.
like you can just chit chat a bit because my friend I have a few friends who are doing Twitch as well and uh yeah I think I'm just doing it for fun only. I'm not really doing it for anything business kind of thing, because like I don't really want to commercialize anything yet lah so far. Like just do something first. If things become better, then okay, maybe I can consider like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
cross platform, you know.
Yeah. And,
Mm.
and I'm really curious because this today's topic is actually about happiness and it's very broad idea and it's just a very broad concept. In fact, there's no absolute answer for that. And
Mm-hmm.
it's very subjective as well. I think um because you did mention like doing game streaming is a rather part-time thing in a way. You do it in a leisure basis.
Mm.
You don't cling or contract to a certain things. Not saying like you have to produce a certain videos for a certain amount of time, right? So you do it for fun. But how do you see? I believe in students, right? It would be great if let's say they can do a full time and part time thing. So may it be full time as a student, part time as a I don't know waiter or waitress. That's fine. That one is for financial part. Wanted to earn some pocket money. But
Mm.
apart from that, the part time like doing a hobby, streaming games and then have fun with friends. Um, what do you think in this case the happiness will be defined in a two directional and also in a rather busy basis or schedule. So I think I'm not sure because a lot of
It,
people definitely doing things
mm.
apart from assignment. They
Yeah,
must
right.
be happy doing that certain hobby or certain
Mm.
interest, personal
Mm.
interest. But to develop that personal interest and also integrate into your career, your so-called boring jobs.
Right.
um how do you see that balance of the happiness first, or maybe you wanted to define the happiness in your personal stance?
Let me collect my thoughts, because I'll just let you know, like I didn't really do game streaming only as my leisure time. I did a lot of things even back then. I started diploma also, I actually like uh a lot of time people are doing architecture, but I'm also like part-timing, I'm just like learning to dance. I'm just learning to
Yeah.
uh I'm also like swimming. I'm also doing other things as well. I'm doing a lot of other things back then. Like uh I think it really depends. It's very subjective, because some people they find happiness in just relaxing and just chilling,
Yeah.
and some people they find happiness when they're busy about themselves, and that they keep their schedule and routine packed daily, so that they can actually feel proud about their productivity and stuff like that. So some people find happiness in different kind of sense, and I don't know
So
how.
your kind of happiness definitely dwells in the busyness one.
My happiness is not really busy lah, but at least I'm doing something like with my life.
Okay, okay.
Okay. So back then I was a bit more active. I was way more active than what I am right now, because I always have that mindset, like achievement is happiness. Back then,
Mm,
when if I can actually achieve something, and then that's actually I deserve to be happy lah, something like that. So I always
mm,
like kind of
mm,
strive for a lot of competitions, a lot of activities. So I just join everything. But as soon as like I hit like intern, right, one of the years, and then after that everything starts to fall apart. Not in the my sense, not in personal sense, but in terms of what's going on in school. Not a lot of things happening the way I envisioned it to be, because I had like a high expectation of the people over there to
mm.
actually like maintain the quality of what UCSI students could be in architecture lah. But as soon as that fell apart lah, and then I really like start to question myself, and reevaluate like a lot of things I did before also. I wasn't really happy, because like a lot of things that like especially some competitions that even though we win, right, we won, but it was not something that I'm proud of, because there was a lot of limitation. Like,
Mm.
seniors are limiting your creativity. Like they always think highly of themselves,
Right.
that kind of things, right? So then I started to realize like I'm doing all this because I want to like impress people. But why should I impress people, especially the seniors, right? I already know
Right.
that they don't share the same quality. I've worked so hard to try to bring this to the next level, but then they're just like shock scenery and just enjoy their own thing and stuff like
Right.
that.
Right.
So I was like, okay lah. Then there's not really much a point to actually like keep on what do you call that, pleasing the other
Mm,
people. And then
mm,
at the same time, when you're doing that, you lose a sense of self, like
mm, mm,
but then not to say it's all bad, because I did all this so I can actually realize that what is the thing that I really want. So
mm,
that after that, my intern time, right, I start to reevaluate everything fell apart. Then I start to quit everything from architecture. I mean UCSI, like everything I just quit only. Then I start to think, this is not what I wanted to do. Then I start to find what I really wanted to do, and
mm.
which is and I guess like my happiness has changed into a bit more of a humble approach. Like I don't really need achievement. I just have to enjoy the moment like currently,
Right.
like right
Right.
now. And it doesn't have to be big. It can just be simple, like why I am right now. I didn't do much, but I'm enjoying it. as long as it's not too competitive or not too stagnant also lah. Because I don't like being too lazy as well. Even though I'm also very lazy, but I don't like doing nothing. But I guess like my next goal was actually doing more of the things that I really want to do for myself.
So, which is game streaming and stuff, isn't it?
Not really game streaming, but game streaming is just a hobby. But
Right.
I'm trying to like in terms of productivity, I'm thinking of making more what do you call it, creative mediums like short films and
Oh,
storytelling.
okay. Okay. Okay.
I'm really looking into like narrative kind of devices, like because I really enjoy when I watch movies or play games or anything that's have a very good narrative device, or when they tell a very good story. That's like one of the only things that excites me. So
Mm.
like I really want to do something like that as well. So I want to tell a story, I want to like deliver it to people and just like have fun along the short film, because I did a short film before, with my fellow friends
Yeah.
last time. But I was thinking of this is the time that I wanted to try to direct my own film and bring it to my own direction and see where I can go lah. But I didn't really have the time to actually proceed that right now because like this semester is actually quite busy.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to like overwork myself. So I just like, okay, just do the simple things first. While I do my assignments, I just do the simple things like just stream some games, get a bit more comfortable about streaming to people. Yeah, just like small steps to actually get to a new kind of thing. But I'll say that the transition from what I used to do and to something new, right, is really tough. That happened last year, especially during MCO times.
Yeah.
um it was really tough because like there's a lot of new skills that you have to learn, a lot of things that you don't know how to do, and I had to relearn everything again because I kind of like stepped out of my comfort zone already, like because I threw away everything that I knew what to do. I mean I've been doing all this while and started to do my own things. So yeah, like a lot of the things that I very very unfamiliar with, it's kind of like very scary lah, to be honest. Like the first time I would do it, like a bit nervous, and especially like even now also like hosting, moderating,
Mm,
and
mm, mm.
doing all these things, right? It's the first time for me also this year and this month, and I'm also like a bit nervous where I jump into it. But because I had like some experience beforehand, like when I do my game streaming, I do my MC during past events, stuff like
Mm,
that. So
mm.
it's all the small skills that slowly develops that
Mm,
makes me
mm,
more
mm.
comfortable right now.
Mm, mm.
So even like the new sports I kind of took last year, underwater hockey, I
Mm,
was very
mm.
new to it. Even though I swim a lot, but I was very new to the concept of underwater hockey, and I very like kind of pressured also. Like everyone is like uh pushing, when you do something wrong, especially when you play wrong, right? Then they'll start to tell you, and they're like, some of them will scold you, and some of them will actually tell you very nicely. But it's kind of pressuring because like everyone's actually relying on you to do it good. So it's like I'm jumping into new things
Mm, mm, mm,
and
mm.
things that I want to do. But the first time it started is still it's really scary. But now I'm just slowly getting more comfortable and like slowly getting there. Like, I'm getting more content about what I'm doing.
It's very interesting. Just now you mentioned this kind of quality of time versus the happiness. One is your shifting of definition of happiness is like, at one point you prefer to enjoy the process. At one point you prefer the outcome. And
Mm,
then at one point vice versa. And then you also mentioned the amount of happiness is growing in a way, the level of comfortable and also your confidence. Like as
yeah.
you doing more, and then you will get more confident, and
Mm,
you'll get happy with it in a way. So you will be happy with the result and also happy with the growth. I think it's a very interesting point that now happiness is no longer subjective but rather objective. It seems to
right.
be like it's like an it's like a thing that you can see its growth across the time. So from 0 to 5 is growing bigger, but at the same time it's also going uphill. So it's a directly proportional kind of thing. I'm not sure. I'm not sure why I say that way.
Yeah, I guess I think a lot of people also kind of like overlook the sense of happiness too. I mean, like they always overlook that. They always think that happiness are always coming from the outcome. And when you think like that, right, it's very hard for you to get to be happy about your journey, because right now what I said so far is like slow progress towards my goal, right? Um, but I'm also happy with it because I have no pressure, and I just like chill do, and I'm very chill about it. But some people, they actually really focus on the outcome.
Yeah.
Uh, and then they don't really see their progress, like they cannot acknowledge their progress. So they tend to have like a very stressful kind of lifestyle because they're always thinking about the end goal and they're not thinking about the journey.
Yeah.
This is something that Kawa taught me also. Like, I mean, he told me this also. Focus on the
Mm,
journey, not the destination. But uh, I guess like it's also kind of subjective in the sense that I mean like it's also kind of situational also. Like some people, I mean, some things should be tracked along the way, and some things could be tracked by outcome. It's very hard to say because it's such a broad spectrum, right?
yeah.
But for me, I like to take things slow, like, because I always been rushed. I mean, I always rush a lot of things, like when I was younger. So yeah, when you get to slow down, yeah, when you get to slow down, then you start to actually appreciate a lot more things, you know, a lot more details and a lot more in depth of
Mm,
things that
mm.
you never thought you can appreciate. Like, you know, I appreciate just this simple pen I'm holding right now. You know, a lot of things lah. Because when you always go too fast, right, you tend to forget everything that's happening around you.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
guess like I kind of had this talk with Clarissa also 2 days ago. We were talking about like how fast the community are always moving, how competitive everyone's trying to uh, prove themselves among each other. Like, oh, I can do this, I can do that, I can achieve this,
Yeah.
I can achieve that. But people forget, like, does it really matter? Like, you have a family, just enjoy things that within your family. Or you don't really need to aim far unless you have the capability to do it, then you can do it lah. I mean, if you're happy about it, then you can do it. But some people, a lot of people, a lot of majorities, they don't have the capability, but then they always like try to push themselves to the edge to get something. But always, most of the time, once they get it already, right, then you don't really feel happy about it because like it's not something they want to do in the first place.
Mm,
Mm.
mm. But then, it seems to be the competitiveness and also the fast pace seems to drive away the so-called happiness. But then don't you think also at the same time there is a certain sense in happiness of speed as well? So when you conquer something, when you compete
Mm.
something, when you win something, isn't there is a sense of happiness as well, isn't it? But I,
Mm.
I do think there is a certain, I think happiness is so tangible, but we believe at that point of time we believe a certain things and then we enjoy it, then why not, right? And
Mm.
I think this very closely associated with the sense of regret. So when I asked my friend, do you regret, I mean, of course, Edwin, we spoke about private lives. That one we're not going to talk about, the relationship and stuff. We are not going to
Right.
talk about it. But when you talk about whether you regret or not, or let's say, oh, did you regret like didn't buy this certain painting? Did you regret like you choose Pepsi over Coke from this certain point of time?
Oh, I chose architecture, right?
Why I chose architecture? But I think but if we're looking at us and then be empathize at the moment and at the self that we situated at that point of time. In fact, we are not regret at all because we chose that path instead of other
Mm.
paths.
Right.
um and regret is a total reverse of
Mm.
happiness in a way, but then at
Mm.
the same time there is a certain happiness in regret as well, because you choose to regret is also a form of regret, or is another form of happiness, isn't it?
If you choose to regret, it's a
Yeah,
bit
I
deep.
mean, you choose to regret because you prefer to regret over dwelling
uh,
it and also
mm,
enjoy that
yeah,
so-called
yeah.
suffering.
I guess that's one thing. Like people regret when normally people will regret. I mean, I feel like if people regret, right, it is for some reason that the current situation of their life right now is a bit down lah. That's why they will regret
Yeah,
something that they didn't do in the past, if to lead them to a better situation like currently. But
yeah,
for me, like if you're actually happy like right now, right, you wouldn't really regret much of last time, because okay, I mean, I have a bit of regret of not doing certain things and doing certain that stuff, right? But then in the end also, like when you think about it, right, there's a lot of not only say happiness, but there's a lot of benefit that comes along what you do. Sometimes I question my swimming sports, you know, like why did I swim like 4 years in teenager life? But then after I think about it, like, you know, it paves way for me to actually teach swimming back and actually earn back something, you know, like
yeah,
when you actually like when you lower your standards a bit more, like not to be too particular about your past and everything, because like if you always, I don't really dwell on the past also lah, because like things
point,
already
right?
happened, right? Things
Yeah,
already happened, right? So just accept it, and you know, appreciate whatever good things that came out from it, lah, right? I do have regrets. Certain, like, I didn't really spend enough time with my friends, like
Yeah.
some of my friends in school. Like I always in a way that I did, like, kind of look down on my secondary school a lot, because there's not a lot of things that I can do there. So it was
Yeah.
very boring for me.
Yeah.
But I kind of overlooked the sense that actually you can just spend the time with your friends, like, those, not really, I mean, like, I spend a lot with my classmates, but then there's like different friends that's in different classes that actually that I actually look forward to actually be friends with them. I mean, like,
Yeah.
not really not be friends, but more closer to them, lah. And do something that I really like, play music and just like having fun, lah, all that kind of thing. But yeah, I think that's the only regret that I would have, like not being able to connect with more people,
Right.
more fun people, like, because but back then also, because I wasn't like much of a person who always go out.
Yeah.
It only happened for me like during Form 5, where I started to go to Town for events and stuff like that. And then I'll start to meet a lot of cool people that kind of like connected within my swimming community as well, and all these people, right? So it's like I'm kind of surprised, like, in one sense, and then I feel also like kind of wasted that I couldn't like uh forge more bonds lah with people that I would be comfortable with a lot. Because my school is very conservative also lah, so in one sense, so a lot of
Right.
few different things, but it's mostly social lah.
Right.
But yeah, I guess like in a general sense, like, I don't think I'll regret a lot of things, because like already happened. So I'm just enjoying the present, right? And then it's like I don't really think much about the future as well, because like there's no point of thinking about the future. I mean, like, not to towards that you don't plan anything, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I have plans, but I just put it as there, like, okay, there's a plan over here, okay, just put it here, but I will focus more on the present right now. I think something
But
like,
yeah. Yeah.
sorry, something like you can
No. Go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry. Sorry.
no, I mean, like, something like what Kung Fu Panda, the quote, the turtle will give you, like Master Wu Hui will say, right? The past is what do you call that, yeah?
The past is the past, is it?
I don't know, I forgot. Past is history, the future is a mystery, but then today is the present. Yeah, that kind of thing. That's why it's called a gift. That kind of thing,
Right.
lah.
Right. I
Mm.
think maybe of course we can't regret, like, we can't regret saying that I could be happy instead of being sad at that point of time, because I regret. I mean, people regret because the current state and the past state doesn't align. So let's say you regret, oh, I didn't get A for my assignment. I regret it, right? Because at that point of time you're working so hard and then you expect it to be an A, and then after that you found out you got a B, so that's why you regret and say I could have worked harder, but it's too bad. You can't do that anymore, because you regret it because the reward, the expectation, it doesn't meet your reality in a way, right?
Mm-hmm.
I do agree that regret is because things doesn't align, but you can't regret because you can't
You
regret
cannot not
because
regret, right?
you not regret, you shouldn't regret, because
Oh,
that's a choice you made at that point of time.
yeah.
You chose to slack,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. That's
You
true.
know
That's true.
but do you but there is another realm saying that what if but you can regret that to lessen the sense of regret. You get what I mean? So you
Oh,
can't
okay.
be you can't be happy. Okay, that's fine. That's already a past, right? But would you regret that I could make a change to lessen my sense of regretness?
You could make a change.
Yeah, you could make a change, but then it's
Like,
all in your mind saying that okay lah, that's fine lah. I can't make an A.
mm,
But what about can I make few can I change my mindset saying that okay, the B at least is good ma. I mean, the whole class also didn't. No one got A also.
right, right. Um, you mean to change the mindset of happiness? Is it like
Well, that's
the
one. That's one, and also regret is also there are two levels I see. One is the existence of grade A or grade
right?
B, but
Uh-huh.
another level is to change your mindset saying that okay, there at least I got the B, and then
Ah.
if I shouldn't regret that the effort I made is not enough, but
Mm.
rather I should be regret that I could make my expectation lower. So there is these two things, because expectation works this way, and also reality works this way. So if you expect to get an A, sorry, maybe okay, maybe you expect to get a B, but you got A. So means the expectation is lower than reality. It means you are happier because you
Mm-hmm.
get something cheaper,
Right.
or better, right?
Right.
But another way is to push your reality is that your expectation is to get B, but in reality
Mm.
you accidentally did A.
Yeah. 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 Uh, Actually, there needs to be a balance in this, because I was saying I kind of reminded of something, but then yeah, you could change a lot of different aspects about what you did and what's the achievement, what's the outcome. Yeah, or you could actually just like like you said, I have to work harder and then they push someone to actually become better. But this one is very subjective to people, like whether what is the next path after this outcome, after this journey, this mini journey, like I say. Then what's their next step? What they're going to do? Are they going to focus on this? Are they going to focus on that? So it really depends a lot of subjective. I mean, it's very subjective to a lot of people. If you ask me, I would just say like I would really focus more on my own time, like, because grades are not really important for me.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
there's one more thing like I need to talk about. So like if sometimes like if you're focusing on too much happiness also, right, then it becomes very like toxic positivity, like it's too stagnant. You won't have any
Right,
more
right,
growth because you're
right.
always happy. Like you need to have
Too
sadness in a
optimistic.
while
Yeah.
also. Yeah. So you can appreciate like any happiness that comes later on. But also one more thing, like when we mention a lot about happiness, right? Like that's why like when things go out of bound, still needs to have discipline. Now, whatever you do, you still need to have discipline. So you cannot have too much happiness. Like that's why people would say like, oh, you guys are very much of a snowflake. Little bit thing also you want to get angry, or little bit thing
Yeah,
also you
yeah.
want to like this kind of thing, right? But there's a reason like why I said like we cannot uh uh like in the major whole scale of like the globally, like you cannot have everyone to actually put the standard very low. If not, no one will actually have a breakthrough in life because no one's pushing themselves.
Yeah.
So
Right.
like that's one thing to consider. Like I'm also like just thinking about it, right? So like imagine like but I think another way also it could be like as long as you're doing if you as long as you're pushing yourself and you're enjoying it also, right? Like you're having fun while doing things, you also kind of can make a breakthrough out of it also. So it's kind of hard to say because still large spectrum, a lot of different possibilities, different variables.
Mm.
So like I'm not trying to say that it's completely bad to actually pull all the standard down, but you can pull it a little bit lower just to like not to expect too much. I mean, not towards like only grades, but always towards about like getting things from somebody, or like imagine like personal life, relationships, all that kind of thing. But at the same time also you still, I mean, like when you shouldn't like have no reason to push yourself in terms of hard work, but you still
Yeah.
need to like push yourself in doing things like, but as long as you're doing it with your own enjoyment, or like you're just having fun. uh and a lot of things, I think a lot of times that a lot of people are not having fun, especially like in architecture, right? They're not having fun because there's always someone limiting them or someone judging them, and they're always afraid of what people are thinking about them. So that what stops them from having fun about their own self, because I think individual, right, they have their own sense of what they want to explore, and that not encouraged in studies or what we are doing lah.
The
But when I
yeah.
sorry, but when I started doing my own things, right, that's where I started to understand like, oh, I'm just doing this for fun. I'm not exactly know what I'm doing, but I'm just doing it for fun, and I still like quite proud of how it turns out lah. So like there's a lot of factors to talk about. But yeah, just because like happiness is very big thing lah. But there's a lot of factors that affects
But
how your goal
yeah.
is. Mm.
I think another synonym for happiness always I have been telling my friends also, happiness is a kind of trust and also a choice, because if
Mm.
let's say you're happy to do this, then why not, right? I mean, for some murderers, even though they did it, they're happy with it, because it
Yeah, yeah.
aligns with their mental health. Of course, I'm not encouraging anyone to go and murder someone. But if you're talking about like Sigmund Freud, like civilization and discontent, you need to understand. In order to understand what is happiness, also we have to understand what makes us not happy. So we can try to stay away from the so-called unhappiness. But
Yeah.
what if some unhappiness is actually a kind of source of happiness? And then I would like to ask you, because there will be two scenario. One is that would you lower your expectation to
Mm.
allow your reality to, you know, come across this expectation so that you can saying that, oh, I actually just wanted to pass lah. And then in reality, you got an A++. I'm like, what the?
Okay.
So that's one scenario
Right.
that you could be happy, right? Another thing is that what if you can set the expectation as high as you want, like super high, and then you get that kind of sense of happiness from that challenging that benchmark. So there are two kinds of happiness, but one is much more on happiness. Yeah.
I think about this. Actually, this just kind of come earlier in my thoughts. But I think where you set your expectation really comes to what you want.
Yeah.
So it's like you must really fully understand yourself first. Like self-content comes first, self-happiness comes first, before you can actually start to set expectation about anything.
Yeah.
So like if you ask me like if whether I will set lower my expectation or set high my expectation on certain things, it really depends. If it's studies, I will set my expectation lower. I don't really care about studies. But if you ask me like is it my short film project that I'm trying to deliver to people, do I want it to get a very good rating? Yes, I'm going to set the bar very high.
Yeah.
If it's something that I'm doing passionately, I'm going to set it very high. But if I'm doing something like I don't really want to do, then I'm going to set the bar very low.
Okay, but if let's say let's put it into an order. I mean, of course, we try to put happiness away first. Okay, let's talk about level of what you want, right? Yeah, how high do you want? How would you like to arrange it? You prefer the family goes first, or assignment go first, or your personal relationship go first? How would you like to arrange that at your current state, lah? After this 1 minute, let's forget about it.
Okay, so currently, I'm already content with what's going on with my family. My relationship with my family and my friends. Not really that important. I mean, like, not really that much of a big deal. I mean, I'll still rank them like a bit higher somewhere, but I'll rank like things that I don't have right now to be highest, which is my achievement goals right now, like my personal achievement, like what I really want to do.
Yeah.
To be highest right now because this is what I want to really do, and it's not really that I haven't studied and I'm sad. It's just that I'm excited to start it one day.
Right.
When if you ask me if lowest, right, I will put my academics. Because like
so sorry, UCSI, so sorry.
Not to say that I'm flunking my academics, I'm still a dean list student.
No, I mean just put it just with this 1 minute lah. After this 1 minute, let's forget about it.
It's just that I don't want to focus too much on academic because it's too rigid and too stale. I don't like the system.
Right.
So when I start to define what I don't like and what I like, right, so it's easier to arrange like what is my priority in achieving happiness. So like I know a lot of people will actually focus a lot in gradings, but for me it's like you can be the best and top student, but in the end you're still not going to be better than some of the people below you.
Oops.
Like you know why? Because like especially I read the interview by Professor Tajudin towards the UCSI valedictorian.
About the reading one, is it?
Yeah, the Valex, he was interviewing them like who to choose the UCSI Valex. And he was very disappointed that none of them could answer his questions.
Yeah.
In terms of multi-faith and reading books and what can you draw from different religions, because everyone has been following a very rigid kind of system to get to that level. And when you already like fine-tune yourself to that level, right, you go through the process, right, then it's not something that I want to be. Like I don't want to be someone who's rigid and stuff like that. It's like very boring to me. So it's already a clear sense, okay, I already know what I want.
I wonder if anyone answer back to professor and say, why did you ask that kind of questions?
There is definitely people who's going to look down on people's questions like that. There is a lot of people in my peers.
No, it's not look down lah, but it's just saying that.
No. Okay, from my experience, like whenever like some people ask questions, like out of pure curiosity, right? Then they'll actually make fun of them, really. Like they look down. There's definitely going to happen like that. And I'm not sure if anyone would ask question back Prof. Touch questions, but I feel like his questions is very deep. I'm not sure if anyone will question back, but I think it's quite a good thing. But I'm sure, like obviously, like whatever you do, so a lot of people is going to comment something. Surely, so I'm sure there's like a few people who comment back, like why you ask this type of questions. It's not even related to our studies and stuff like that. There's definitely going to be people.
But the reason why I raised this up, because not saying that I don't want to answer it. I'm just curious, how does that impact to your interview? I'm not saying that it's not I'm not saying it's a bad question. I definitely is a very academically, intellectually, it's a very good question. But for me, I would like to challenge that because I don't want to dwell into the content of that question. I want to challenge the context of the question. Because
Right.
I must,
But I
yeah,
think the okay. There's this few conversations I had with my lecturers as well. Like when you talk about questioning the brief and stuff like that,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
But
yeah,
it's the same thing lah. But they're mostly disappointed not because like the students are not cannot answer, but the thing
yeah.
is the student can't even question back. There's a lot of
Yes,
people they cannot question back because
yes,
they do not have the individual thinking and they do not have the critical thinking to actually like bend the whole things back to them because they have been so used to actually just following what people want them to do. So
yeah,
when they ask like a very weird question like this, right? Then not only they couldn't answer, but they couldn't question it back. So it's like that's even
yes,
worse.
yes.
So it's like yeah, I think this is a very I cannot blame through like all the education system, but it's usually something that I feel like something that is started off when you're a primary school student that you have been taught to follow and only follow.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
don't have any education that teaches you to think for yourself, and that's why a lot of people in Malaysia they like to follow
yeah.
rather than do what they want.
Well, there is another concept for it lah. But coming back to this idea of art of questioning, I think it's not the it's not the question that you ask. Of course, that one is another things that we can debate about what kind of question you should ask. But I think it's the act of asking is the most important one because I think
Mm-hmm.
that opens up the gateway for so many
Yeah,
questions.
it's
I
the
mean,
yeah it's a
yeah,
conversation spark.
yeah, I mean
Mm.
that's because you don't ask, you there will be no questions asked.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
and coming back to this idea of followers and followings, it's quite common. I mean, it's not just happening in Malaysia context. But human beings are just imitators. I mean, I could learn from you as well, even though you
Mm.
are younger than me.
Mm.
I still there are certain values I can learn from you. It's quite hard to identify who is the innovator and also who's the imitator. Like you can like someone who designed in Germany and then you found out that it's made in China and then China can simply make it in product in China, isn't it? But it's just a design. But
Mm.
how often people can do the design? I mean, if let's say you can, okay, that's what I think. If you look at the Pareto principle, there is a 20-80%, right? So if let's say 80% of people are innovators, 20% only imitators, and we have to understand which one is easier. I mean, do you think design something is easier or copy something is easier? Of course, copy something
Uh,
is easier.
there is certain skills when you're copying also lah. I mean, like if you copy, you definitely don't want to get caught, right? So like you pandai copy and you pandai adapt lah. But I know a lot of people they just plain out copy and straight away got caught for plagiarism. That one I guess say like you guys are not smart enough to actually think further than that lah. Come on, be real a bit lah. If you want to copy, you can copy. Like a lot of lecturers just like encourage us to copy for certain stuff, like just copy it, but then pandai a bit lah. That's why we were so disappointed at some of the working drawing they did, right? They just copy one whole sample drawing and then they still put the same language like in Spanish and submit.
Okay.
And then our head of school actually saw it and read it and wow, highlight, very betul highlight. But it's just that if you ask me which one is easier, right? I feel like copying still might be easier because like but not really that easy also because uh I feel like copying is one step to start innovating, like one of the earliest
Yeah,
steps.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
then a lot of people they just copy only, they don't copy without questioning. So
Right,
that's one thing
right,
also. Because when you
right.
copy, you have to analyze what you're copying. So like especially when you like start to learn how to draw, right? When you see people draw characters and anatomies, right? You don't just copy them and just copy blindly. When you copy them, you still have to like study. Okay, why did they do this line work? Why is this line work thicker and
Yeah,
spark?
yeah,
Why this
yeah,
line work is thicker and spark? And the style and all these things. And then when you start to get comfortable with the concept of drawing, basic concept of drawings,
yeah,
and that's where you start to push the boundaries, where you start to mix and match. I
yeah,
mean, I guess like design. One thing is that I think there's one quote. I mean, like roughly just gonna paraphrase it like that. Design is a creative people are always often from people who observes a lot. So
right.
when you start to be able to extract a lot of things that's going on around you, so like let's say drawing lah, okay, maybe three different kind of artists that you're extracting from. Let's say you're trying to learn how to build your own style, right? So you're looking into three different artists, and in three different artists, you're looking into three different aspects of their drawing styles, and then that's where you start to learn and practice, and you try to combine these and that's like an exploration for you to actually find your own style in drawing. So this after you copy, right, then the next step will be this, where you start to absorb different elements and start to mix and match and start to develop your own style, and that's where the innovation comes in. And I think this kind of applies, like it's kind of universal, like in terms of design, because I feel like design is a very universal language when it comes to dancing, when it comes to doing architecture, when it comes to music, everything is like that. Like you have to draw a lot of things from different source. Then you only can like start to piece things together slowly, and yeah, innovate something that you really want to do.
The next thing is that because we've been talking about innovation and imitation, that one is much more applicable for designing, right? Let's say design.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, of course, in life there is no such thing saying that. Hey, how come you copy my definition of happiness? But I think it's quite interesting also because we are all social learners, and we learn from a certain example. Let's say, I mean, to be honest, lah, what I learned when I was working in ZLG, and I thought, I mean, that's somehow shaping who I am now because I learned from them, and then I learned that what are they doing and align with my principle. That's why I enjoy doing it
Mm.
because I think, let's say for yourself, even because your tutor is Kawa, and then Kawa been doing a certain things that you make you admire, and then you think, wow, Kawa is the right person, a great teacher in a way.
Mm.
Um, and I'm not sure what do you think. Let's say when we put this kind of idea or principle or imitation of skill set or architectural philosophy into lifestyle. I mean, of course, it's not limited to saying that my happiness is better than your happiness kind of thing. But how do you see, like, what have you understand about happiness is actually imitated from something else? Because earlier you mentioned you prefer progress instead of outcome. You prefer a certain things over something, and then can I'm not sure. Do you able to find the link to someone you learn from? You get what I mean?
Oh wow.
So for example,
Mm-hmm.
now let's see what you're happy now, and then you prefer to do certain things like video shooting or your personal interest. That's what makes you happy. But is there any precursor or influence before that?
I feel like my influence comes from very much different sources as well, like many different sources. It's
Yeah,
not like I see one person that, oh, I really like this, I'm going to follow this guy's footstep.
yeah.
Because I don't want to follow people's footstep all the time. But I guess you can say one of the biggest. I mean, like there's going to be a few different sources, but there's like a few big factors lah. And I guess one of them is going to be like if you talk about filmmaking, like the style of it, right? I think there's a few films that I watched, like Yasmin Ahmad's film, right? Like
Right.
how simple it is, but it's very homey as well, like very home, and you can actually relate to what's going on
Yeah.
inside. Even
Yeah.
though I find the film very lengthy, I get bored at times, but I feel like there's a lot of connection, personal connection towards the film because it's like really Malaysian,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Ola Bola as well.
Yeah.
Something simple. That's how it influences you to focus on simple things. Doesn't have to be so fantastical like stuff like that. But I also still find like a lot of appreciation towards like Isao Takahata's film, the one who did Grave of the Fireflies and Tale of Princess Kaguya in
Mm.
Studio Ghibli.
Mm.
And it's his raw handwork, like his drawing
Mm.
style that actually, uh, you know, there's a lot of things that when I observe, right, it kind of like makes me aware of certain aspects that people always overlook and the
Mm.
subtlety of things, and a lot of people like is the like the relatability, the familiarity, and how all these small details are that actually what makes a story very good. And I mean, it's one thing that is affecting the story and narrative. And there's a lot of things. I mean, like different source are actually what makes me aware of different aspects. So like Isao Takahata's like makes me aware about his drawing style and the music, and maybe Spider Verse is something that makes me aware of how things can be exaggerated and push something boundary, right? And then how Yasmin is kind of like make me aware of how uh a film can be good like through relatability, like how you can actually relate to something, so
Mm.
like different source and different inspiration are something that makes you aware of different aspects of what you should put into your things. So it makes you like realize, oh, I like this, I should put this aspect into my film. If I like that, I should put that aspect in my film as well. Like it's a thing that you have to take into consideration. It's not like I don't believe in like, oh, I just follow this one person, like, oh, this guy is a filmmaker, I want to be like him, and everything is going to be like him. Then you're still going to end up becoming one person only, like one film with one recommendable aspect. That's all. Then you have to film like something like Transformers, when the whole visual is beautiful, the whole cinematic is beautiful, but the whole storyline is just. So it's like you need. I mean, like yeah. So it still ties back to where I need to draw a lot of inspiration is from many different sources to actually drive the work that I want to do.
That's where you copy, but then you modify to your own
Yeah.
preference.
It's like once you start to analyze and start to understand like what kind of aspect that you want, then that's where you know lah. I mean, like what to copy. It's not really exactly a copy, but you know what to take into consideration with it.
But in a nicer term, it's inspiration lah, not copy lah.
Yeah, inspiration. Yeah, I guess you can say that way.
But another you mentioned quite a few films, and then they are presented in a certain material, may it be books or even film. They are something that we can hold and feel instead of, I mean, simply just talking about, even though it's a blank idea, but you talk through the let's say podcasts or interviews, it is appears as a form of something you could assess instead of in your mind, but you don't talk about it, it will be appear as a blank idea. So I would like to ask, like, this kind of materiality that transfer from a happiness that, you know, it'll be quite interesting because you are saying that, oh, Studio Ghibli, that is the so-called happiness, and then you could pop up this idea called Studio Ghibli as an inspiration, as a source of happiness. But of course, a lot of time when we say that, you know, happiness cannot be buy, you know, cannot be bought by money or as another form of reward. But how do you see that materiality and also the physical existence of happiness?
That really comes like you know, you can relate this to the Buddhists and the monks. You know, they detach their materiality from the world, physical needs, and all these things, right? And that's where they find their so-called peace, Zen. Not really happiness, but it's more to like peace. But towards that, like right, if you talk about materiality, right, like non-materiality within happiness is going to be something like wow, this is very hard to explain.
Because I thought, like, what let's say the Buddhist or monk, they say, oh, let's detach from the materiality. I always thought the moment the monk say this word, right, this word is actually a material. Of course, it's a non-material, it's a non-physical material. It's not saying that I give you £100 and then I tell you this is the materialistic happiness. I mean, apart from that, I think the words itself, the statement itself, also a kind of form of materials. It composed of alphabet, it composed of tones. It tells you that happiness should be detached from things else, but
it's still a direct thing, like,
it is still a material. You get what I mean? I mean,
right. True.
When a thing is not a material, is when it is in your mind, but you don't talk about it. That is the most non-material things, I think.
I feel like this one is very based on your thoughts, like how you perceive things that's happening around you, and that's where things can be happy or not, right?
Yeah.
Try to figure out, because when you see something and you feel and you start to feel happy or not happy, but it's still a material thing, because the happiness there, source of there.
Yeah.
But I feel like happiness that comes from within is something that you do alone. Like, are you like, let's say if you spend the time alone in your own room, right? In your own room, would you be happy or would you be depressed? That kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like a very personal thought, like whether or not you're happy with yourself or not. And this is something that not everyone can find easily, because they're still struggling with a lot of things that's happening. But this is something that's very important as well, because like you need to have time for yourself to reflect. If not, people are always going to step on you. You don't even realize it. People's going to step on you and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You need to have a sense of self-worth also, and this kind of thing is like not anyone can help you, but people can help you in certain sense. But the final outcome to actually decide whether or not you're going to be happy or not is going to be coming from you still, whether or not you're going to make a change, stuff like that. But it's still going to tie back to materiality as well, because you're still going to, like, in the end, your lifestyle is going to be connected with people outside.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say also, right? I'm trying
that's why I think in speaking of meditation is a form of non-materialistic happiness, because it's you talking to you. Because the moment
Yeah.
you open your mouth, it's actually the material. I mean, that's how I perceive it. Lah. So when you're saying this kind of sense of solidarity, is actually the genuine one because you talking to you, but you don't open your mouth. That's very interesting happiness.
or I'm not sure if this will count as materiality, but some people sleeps to himself happiness.
But then
No,
this
like
happiness is like an echo chamber lah. You talk to yourself and shock sendiri.
right, yeah, true also. But it's not really like shocks and but then self-reflect. Right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of I'm not sure because I don't really like um I don't know. When you mention this like self-happiness and non-materiality and things that happen in my head, I just like start to think about it like it's not something that I normally do. If I'm tired, if I don't like thinking too much, so like if I'm tired, I just go to sleep. That's all. Like that's my self-happiness.
Okay lah. Now
Free.
maybe you will start to think about who am
No, the
I?
thing is, I don't meditate on anything because I find it too boring. Like
Right.
I don't self-reflect on anything because I'm already happy with myself. I guess that's why I don't really.
That's nice.
Yeah, I guess that's the notion lah. Because like, I don't want to self-reflect too much because everything. I mean, like, the answer is already there in my head. Why should I reflect again? Like, it's already there.
Right.
So I don't want to do it anymore. It's going to waste my time just then. So it's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
But for me, I think happiness is when you are still alive and then you are able to think, you are able to live on this planet is happiness already. Because
That is another happiness you can say. To
yeah.
embrace death is also a happiness.
Yeah.
To know your I mean, like, to know that your days are numbered, right, is something that makes you appreciate life a lot. And you start to, appreciate the people around you. Once you do that, and then you appreciate a lot of things that's going to happen around you. When you know that life is actually very short only, then yeah, you start to realize a lot of things that comes along the way.
But maybe before we close up, I would like to ask. I'm not sure if you have any thoughts to share or elaborate, but I wanted to ask, like, when you come across this word called happy moment. I mean, the definition of your happiness is definitely influenced by school, by your friends, by your family,
Yes,
right?
yes.
But in speaking of happy moment, what could that be linked to something? I mean, at this moment, is there
Happy
any
moment.
certain incident that makes you think, wow, this is happy? Kena lottery.
A happy moments. There's a lot of things that I can
Maybe
consider happy
when you're
moments.
texting a girl and then you think, wow, they be so damn happy.
Flirting around, maybe flirting around is also some happy moments. A lot of my happy moments are mostly social, just like the simple thing as hanging out with friends. And a lot of them are more appreciable when you actually have a lot of deep talks with them and have a lot of meaningful conversation with people. And if you talk about more happiness, like more happy sessions, like being able to being able to like expand your creativity and progress in terms of productivity. That's a lot of my happy moments. Focus on that lah. And if you talk about maturity, it's about winning the free phone that I had. All these few happy moments. But when you mention who you are actually influenced by the things that surround you, right? That's actually very true. I think this is something I read from Carl Jung's theory, right? I didn't really read his book, but I played a game that's actually affected by his books. But there's a lot of things that mention like how who you are actually affected by the people around you, and there's no way to go. I mean, there's no way to actually go away from that. And that's actually quite true because like uh, it always starts off with your first is your family and how
Yeah.
they start to raise you up, and then after it's your
Quote
friend.
unquote brainwash.
Brainwash, yes, it's definitely going to affect you a lot, like especially if you come from an abusive family home, and it's going to affect you a lot when you're adult. But yes, a lot of things that happens, a lot of things that makes you who you are actually affected by other people. So you're not actually yourself, but you're someone that is actually groomed by other people. So, but there's like quite a contradicting thing, lah. I mean, like, people always say that I'm me because I'm myself, right? But it's actually also affected by what happens around you that makes you think that way. But I feel like there's also a sense of individualism that where things when you start to realize when you're self-aware about okay, this is who you are because of these things happen or these things happen right your background, then that's where you start to take over. Where okay, I know I'm like this because of my past circumstances. Am I going to change or not? So that's where you yourself are the one taking in charge already. So yeah, but in the end, it's still going to be some sense where it's still going to be like once you discover yourself and you want to change yourself, right? That's where you start to change your circle of friends, and in the end, it still plays back to the part where you're actually just who you are because of somebody else. Because when you change your friends and just to better fit with who you are, it's still something that you're presenting to other people. So in the end, you're still wearing a mask towards
Mm,
different people.
mm,
So
mm,
like
mm.
there's always going to be this I don't say it's like one side on one side, but I feel like it's a very gray area when you talk about individualism and what you're affected. It's all correlated lah, you know.
Yeah.
That's what I can say. But that's how also you in a way will affect your happiness. But in the end, like I always feel like, especially when you go through, especially when you're an adult lah, let's just say,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you're gonna have your own responsibility and you cannot keep blaming on other things already. So you have to be very, I mean, like a lot of people have to be self-aware and start to think for themselves and start to ask like what do they want, you know, what do they really want in life and what do they really want to be, and and then proceed with that, you know. Just it's not going to be easy. It's going to be a very long time. I mean, it took me like what my whole years from since diploma until now to actually find what that I'm really happy of. So it's going to be a very long time for people to actually proceed stuff like that.
The in the earliest beginning of this podcast, we are saying happiness is very subjective. It is very
Mm.
personal and subjective in a way. It's so close, and perhaps this subjectivity is actually ourself.
Yeah.
um and I thought this kind of self is the selfishness in a way, that selfish, not selfish. So
Uh,
is there anything that would you do for your own benefit or own happiness when it
right.
comes to a certain condition, that I would do that instead of, even though I know it might hurt someone, but I still gonna do it? Is there any
Okay.
certain things that you would
This
do it, for
is.
example, like
Mm.
competition or assignment,
Mhm. Competition.
maybe it's like okay,
Okay. If
let's
you
say
talk
you have a
about like
girlfriend. Let's say you have a
right,
girlfriend, and then the girlfriend
right.
also same in your class, and then say, "Hey, Edwin, can you help me to do this?" But for
Mm.
you, the time you spend to help her, maybe you could have spent on yourself to get a better grades, kind of
Oh, this
thing.
one will really depends on which one you prioritize, lah.
Yeah, but would you prioritize for yourself?
It really depends. Like, wow, it really depends because I don't have a girlfriend right now, so I don't really know. So I really don't know which one I should prioritize. But I find myself really helping a lot of other people instead of helping myself first uh because like you know why not just because I'm already happy because I mean like I'm already happy with myself, so I don't really okay like if I want to take a bit of setback just to help other people then why not, right?
Maybe
Because
not
I
girlfriend
think
lah. Let's say your peers lah, your close
it
friend.
depends. It
Yeah.
depends. If it's peers that I want to see them being successful, then I will help them.
Okay.
Like if I know these peers of mine, like it's going to be someone who's going to be very great and someone who's actually very responsible and you know they really think about themselves, then I would help them. But if someone who's actually like just playing around and who doesn't even share that kind of support back towards me, then I just like I don't care about you
So
lah.
the person, the person personality and seriousness is actually the criteria
Yes,
allows you to
yeah.
whether you want to help or
Because
not.
I'm not gonna help. Okay, this one thing also like you're not responsible for other people's thing.
Yeah.
And if people are not going to help themselves to become better, right, or to break their stigma or to throw away their ego, right, then why should I help them? They have to help themselves first before I can help them. That kind of thing. Because I
I,
know a lot of my peers, right, especially my batch, I don't really. It's hard for me to appreciate them because a lot of them are actually just within their own bubbles and they're just like they don't want to push about anything at all. And then not only that, they look down on people who's pushing, you know. So that's one thing I don't really like about some people. Like, okay, if you think that this is not very important to you, then don't bring other people down with you, you know. And there are a lot of people like that because that's why like I kind of like mm, uh avoid my own studio because of that kind of personality.
mm,
I can be friends with them. Like I mean, like just friends. I say, you know, just play game, casual, kind of thing. But when it comes to seriousness, when talks about productivity, the things that I want to do. It's not something that I will talk about it with them because I don't because they don't. really care about that kind of thing. So it's like,
Right. It's
so
like, what's the
when
point I help them, isn't it?
yeah, exactly. So if I want to help them in terms of productivity and certain things, right, it must be something that they are very passionate about. Then I will help them.
Yeah.
If it's not, then no, just do your own things. I'm like, it's like no need lah. Yeah. I
But
think one more thing you can
yeah.
like when you talk about happiness, right? I think there's one thing about PewDiePie was actually talking about the philosophy of Diogenes. Uh, I'm not sure if you guys know who Diogenes is, but then he's like a Greek philosopher, which kind of like it's like kind of like anti philosophy, like
Right, right,
kind
right,
of
right,
irony,
right.
right? But he kind of like uh, diss on all the other famous philosopher in Greek, like Aristotle and all these people, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And he lives a very simple life, like he just lives under a barrel, and like he kind of like just jerk himself off in public and stuff like that. But he talks about in that sense of that kind of happiness where like this is his happiness, and he's just very simple, doesn't have any status. It's just people see him as some kind of crazy dude in the
Yeah.
streets.
Yeah.
But when it comes to current lifestyle right now, people are starting to make sense of Diogenes' philosophy, where I think it's mostly towards focusing on why you should actually why do you need to find happiness from other people too much. Like I think PewDiePie was saying a lot about this, and then he was actually like he realized that and started to do a lot of, when he's still doing YouTube channel, but it's most of the things that he actually enjoys doing, the things that he's by himself lah. Because he used to be in a corporate in YouTube and he doesn't enjoy that, and he kind of relate that to the Diogenes punya situation. Like why do you need to like have a certain status towards the whole people to get happiness, but you can actually have just be happy by your own, right? I think that's one more thing. Like I've heard about lah, like quite interesting.
Before that, you're saying that you would help someone if, let's say, the person are trying to make an effort to save himself or herself, right? Let's say you don't know how to swim, right? And then this person were drowning in the river or something, but you don't know how to swim. But then of course you can see that person is trying to stay alive lah. They wanted
Right.
to try to get him pull himself out.
Mhm.
You don't know how to swim, but would you try to save that person, even though you might, with a hope that you might able to save him?
That's where it comes to where certain outcomes can be achieved by different methods.
Right.
So if I don't know how to swim, then I will find different methods to actually save the guy. So is there any stick nearby? Is there any ropes nearby? Is there any like floats nearby? That kind of thing where I can actually use to pull the person back up. So one sense also is when it comes to this kind of thing, right? You have to be creative lah. When helping people, if I know like certain things, like if people ask me to help them in Rhino, but if that kind of situation if people is gonna ask me to help them to learn Rhino, then that's definitely like something I cannot help really because there's nothing else I can do. But I can only help like, okay, I can find YouTube videos for you, and then you go see for yourself lah.
Okay.
So in terms of helping, there's always a certain degree of helping, maybe small or maybe huge impact, but at least I can at least make a bit of effort to actually help someone. But also at the same time, I cannot like help people who keep on wants to be spoon fed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I cannot help people who ask everything from me because there's a certain balance also. Like I also need to focus on myself. I need to focus on my achievements. I want to do this grade. I want to spend the time to finish off these things so I can get better grades. But if you ask for my help, then I will help you, but only to a certain extent. Then the rest of it you have to help yourself with this. So it's like giving my friends tutor, and I do that a lot. And yeah, and then I start to understand how tutor feels when they're tutoring their students. But yeah, there's always a balance towards things that you're doing. A lot of things needs to have balance and discipline.
So you will still help lah, but then it's also there is a certain setback saying that I don't want to fully help you. I am not the kind of person who gonna jump into the river and help you.
Yeah,
but
yeah. It's like
I'll try to help you, but with the least.
yeah. If it's
with
small
the least
thing,
effort.
like if it's small thing like, oh, you ask me for exam answers and stuff like that, okay, then I'll just give you everything. That's very simple. Yeah, short also, I don't really have to put much effort. But if you ask me like design benda, right, then this kind of thing is really like really tough, and I cannot spend too much of my time. It's not because I have to think.
Because it went beyond your ability and also your limit and boundaries.
Yeah, it depends whether it's like easy to give or hard to give. So it's hard to give, then I only can give you the fundamentals, and you have to work all the details yourself. But if it's like easy thing to give, I just bagi je lah. I don't really care
Okay.
because I'm not really that competitive. Like you want to be higher grades than me and whatever lah, I will be lah. Then I'm just trying to survive. And a lot of lecturers taught us as a studio we should actually work together to survive. But that's
Yeah.
not the situation you see. So right now everyone is selfish.
Yeah.
I don't know why
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
is, but that's just
Yeah.
the case.
Yeah. Okay. That's pretty. Well, I'm quite impressed with the conversation actually, um and then your personality kind of like a very fun guy, very casual guy in Discord, but in this dialogue it appears to be like a philosopher. but anyway, thanks a lot, Edwin. I
All right,
really
thank you,
appreciate
Gary.
your dialogue and the time you spent here. I think it's
It's very nice to talk about this with you. It's
very
been a long time since
insightful. I mean, we
Hmm.
definitely can catch up more. I mean, we
Yeah,
can
yeah.
talk more
I
about.
I love to talk about this deep stuff. It's just that I don't really have the chance to talk
You don't
about this
seem
deep
like
stuff with people.
you don't seem like the person who would talk about it, but I'm quite impressed. That's why I was like, after 1 hour, I'm like, wow, this Edwin is something, man. Anyway, thanks a lot, Edwin.
Some people say I bullshit a lot.
Well, I think, well, too bad lah. If let's say they don't grasp it, then too bad lah. If they think it's bullshit, then okay lah. Too bad lah.
Never mind lah. I mean, this is just me, right? But thank you
Anyway,
a lot.
thanks a
Thank you
lot,
very much.
Edwin. I think
Yeah.
we can definitely catch up again.
Sure.
All right, see you then.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Gary. See you.
Bye.
Bye.